couple of tragic stories over the weekend. Perhaps you've been following these. One, a shooting at a nightclub in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which injured more than a dozen people. The other, a shooting which killed 10 in Monterey Park, California, as part of a Lunar New Year celebration. Dr. Alex Del Carmen heads up the School of Criminology, Criminal Justice, and Strategic Studies at Tarleton State University in Fort Worth. Dr. Del Carmen, great to have you back on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So in the Lunar New Year shooting story from Monterey Park, California, the media immediately jumped on a narrative that this was a hate crime, and it may well still be a hate crime. Does the narrative at all change, though, as we learn that the suspect in the shooting is 72-year-old Hu Can Tran?
Well, the idea of a hate crime is not necessarily based on who commits the hate crime, but rather whether or not the intention related to the crime was hatred towards a particular group of people based on their ethnicity or race or affiliation. Now, in this particular case, what we know so far is we think that this is related to issues that this guy had with his wife. And as a result of that, he went to the one place that he had frequented in the past, and he committed, horrible acts of violence and murder against innocent people that were there. So we think it's related to domestic violence more so than it is anything else.
He also went on to a second scene and tried to kill and injure even more people. Some heroes stepped in and were able to disarm him there, which is unfortunate that another scene was involved, but some heroes stepping up to defend others in that setting.
Right, and what we've seen in the past in these kinds of mass shootings is that even though we always advise people that if they can flee the scene to take that as a first course of action, but if you're stuck with a person that has a gun and you have no way of getting out and you have no way of hiding, the last resort, and it is within the 3 steps of survival, is to actually engage the individual. And in this particular case, it seems like these heroes actually did that. And you know what? We would be talking about a lot more people dead this morning than those that actually died if it had not been for those individuals that did what they were supposed to do.
10 dead in the Monterey Park, California shooting. At least a dozen others injured in a Baton Rouge shooting in which one person seems to have been the target and everyone else caught in the crossfire there. Is it possible for the Monterey Park shooting to also have been a targeted attack? Maybe not on anyone in particular, although I think we'll certainly learn more about this as the investigation goes on, but maybe targeting that scene. That's where he met his ex-wife. If she or someone else that was not personal to him was the target, then that location could certainly have been a target.
Absolutely. And so we've actually done studies on these, and we did a recent study with the Institute of Criminal Justice Predictive Analytics. And one of the things that we found that there's always almost 60% of the time in these mass shootings, the perpetrator or the criminal has a relationship with either the event or the location or a person or people at that particular location. So in this case, it fits that profile that the individual must have had a relationship, must have had issues with either the location or, as we indicated before, his former spouse that was actually at the event at the time of the shooting.
The Baton Rouge shooting was at a nightclub. I would expect that we learn the suspect in that case is a younger male. The suspect in the Park shooting, a 72-year-old. You don't hear of many senior citizens committing a mass.
Between the 1960s and 2021, one of the things that we found is that the majority of them are under the age of 30. And so being 74 years of age or 73 and engaging in a mass shooting is rather unusual. I want to say, Scott, that there's probably been only one other time in U.S. history, in the most recent U.S. history, that we can count on that simply shows that there's someone that is older than 65 that would have engaged in such a shooting component. But again, a lot of unusual things, but a lot of things that we've seen in the past as well as it relates to the profile of mass shooters.
We're talking to criminologist Dr. Alex Del Carmen. He heads up the School of Criminology at Tarleton State University. As this investigation continues, what do you expect us to see as the next finding in Monterey Park?
So there's a lot of things that are loose ends right now, right? Like, for instance, we don't know, where he acquired the gun. We don't know because remember, this is California, and this is one of the most strict states as it relates to gun control. So it'll be interesting to see where he got it. Also, we don't know exactly if anybody helped him or not. So I assume that investigators not only are going through the search of this individual's home and car and whatnot, but they're also trying to figure out if in social media he had a presence, if in fact he solicited help and had individuals that helped him at least plan the attack. And so there are a lot of these questions that are going to be answered relatively quickly. Law enforcement is moving very fast in this case, and I assume that with the federal, state, and local resources, in a matter of a few days, perhaps a couple of weeks, we're going to know pretty much a lot more about the story than we know so far.
As you look at the rest of the country, Dr. Del Carmen, we're experiencing violent crimes at an increasingly alarming rate around the country. Northwest Ohio, no exception to this. We're 3 weeks into January, and we've had, by definition, a mass shooting event every day so far in this year, in 2023. Is this the sign of a larger mental health, drug, or economic crisis that our country is facing?
Yeah, the answer to that is all of the above, Scott. I mean, we see that, and we've said this for years, right? And you've had me in your show before where we've talked about this, is that, we've predicted, we criminologists have predicted that these moments were going to come to the United States. And that is, when you add the pandemic, when you add the psychological effects of the pandemic, and you add to that the economic issues that we're facing, the global issues that we're facing, and the fact that there's been a decadence of mental health resources in the United States, clearly is the perfect storm. And so the opportunity is there, the access to handguns is there, and these individuals that simply hit that moment of anomie or normlessness, they will engage in that criminal act regardless.
We haven't spoken to you in a few months, Dr. Del Carmen, since the beginning, since the end of last year. And it's fascinating. I'd love your thoughts, completely off topic from these two mass shooting events, but obviously a lot of attention around the country is being directed towards Brian Koberger and the University of Idaho murders, a criminology student. That's got to be something that's come up in your classes.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that we have seen in that particular case is this individual had just been admitted to the PhD program. So I think by calling him a doctoral student, is being generous to the terminology. Nevertheless, there was clearly, he had an attraction or, some sort of affiliation to criminology as a science of study, which goes to show you that even though we train 99% of the people that we train academically are individuals that go out there and do noble things like help out society. But at the same time, unfortunately, sometimes we attract those individuals that basically they're out of curiosity or their own personal motives. They use the science of criminology to their own advantage. And in this case, I'm afraid that this individual did that. Well,
there's that fascination we have in general society with criminology studies, because look at the success of shows ranging from Dateline in 2020 and Dateline Mystery to 48 Hours to On Patrol Live to NCIS and the FBI shows.
No question, Scott. And I watch none of them, by the way, as a criminologist, because I find them to be unrealistic, illogical, and they solve the crime within
murders in Massachusetts. That's a crime that was solved pretty quickly because the criminal in that case was an idiot. The Brian Walsh, the Walsh murders.
Yeah, sometimes murderers and intelligence do not correlate in a positive manner, right? And so and those are easy for law enforcement to be able to solve. But unfortunately, we do have the smart ones, i.e., serial killers that we've seen in the past, that are people that have high IQs that, sadly enough, are highly violent, and it takes a while for law enforcement to be able to catch them.
Dr. Del Carmen, great to catch up with you. Thank you for your time, as always.
Anytime. Thank you.